So with some changes, with the trade deadline and everything, how do you go about approaching some of those shifts and identifying, who's going to be kind of the next man up, if you will?
Sure. I think you already kind of had a depth chart. You kind of know who fit in where, who's spelling who in certain situations. So obviously, without Sheed and Trevor here now, the guys just have to step up and play more.
And do you look at, I know Kevin said yesterday that, with Shaheed's snaps, that it provides opportunity for multiple players. Is that something that you look at, all together as well?
Sure. Every time we go into a game, we're game planning for certain guys and certain spots, certain situations. And now, when Sheed's not a part of that, you just have to redistribute that amongst other guys.
How have you seen Von Daly progress? And, if he is one of those guys, just what makes him ready for the moment?
Real intelligent guy, and that's one of the things we really liked about him, his size, his intelligence. We got him here, obviously, a little minor setback, some injury things, and, really excited about the opportunity. Now, obviously, he'll take on a much bigger role.
Was having a limited role, was anything he was doing that was preventing him from seeing the field? Like, he just needed to learn more or anything there?
Well, I think obviously, when you first get to an organization, when you're coming in new and everything's different, there is going to be a steeper learning curve. And then there's also the flow of how things have already been going. You kind of go through training camp, you try and look at different guys in different situations, see who fits and does what well, and these type of things. And then, all of a sudden now you have a new piece. So it's trying to figure out how that piece fits. And, kind of same thing I talked about earlier with Taysom. You don't really know until you get him and you start doing things.
Is there anything about his approach to the game that stands out? It looks like he blocks hard and everything, even though there's not a ton of targets. He's still maximum effort and bought in and all that.
Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of sports where guys don't necessarily show up in the stat line, but that they play an important role in their system for their team. And I think he's one of those guys. Obviously hasn't had the big breakout game catch-wise, but you look at the things he's done when he's been in the football game, and it's been productive for us on offense.
After going over the film and sitting down with Tyler and talking through the performance, what do you take away from his first start?
Well, obviously it was, a game that got away from us a little bit, sooner than we had expected or anticipated. But there's a lot of good things in there, and there's a lot of things to improve on. But the one thing was it wasn't too big for him. That's a dang good defense he played against. You tip your hat to their pass rush. They got some real dudes up front. Like I said, going into the game, I know Giff and his guys are going to come after the passer. And so a lot of positives. Obviously, his first time out there. And so, I think you're really excited to see him go get the second one this week.
His touchdown throw, he said that was kind of the third read to Juwan. How did you, when you look back at that, how did you feel like he handled that situation in general?
One of the real positives, when you get down in the red zone, obviously the field shrinks, decision-making becomes critical, things happen fast. And, for him to get through that progression the way he did, to get to Juwan, as we say, when you look at the play, that's the guy that we always say, well, throw it to him, but that guy never really is open. And Juwan did a nice job getting open, Tyler did a nice job finding him.
How do you guys get off to faster starts?
You thought you were going to give me the answer to that. No. Obviously, been a point of emphasis for us. We have not done well there, and we know we fell short of where we want to be. Obviously, it's a commitment from the coaching staff. We've got to do a better job of getting our guys the best plays early in the game, and we've got to do a better job of executing. Obviously, you can't start the game, especially the way we started it with, 3 and outs, and, 4 of our first 5 series are 3 and outs when you go out there to LA, I believe. And you can't start games like that and expect to win in the National Football League. So we've got to be better. We know it. We're working at it, and we just got to get there.
Is it surprising or disappointing? You spend all week formulating a game plan. You feel good about the script, presumably, and to see it not translate, what kind of goes through your head?
Well, you have to take each play and isolate that play, because you can't just say, well, we're not starting fast. Well, okay, what happened? Well, we had a penalty in this series, or we had a lost yardage play here, or we didn't line up right, whatever those may be, or this wasn't a very good play call against that defense. There's a number of different reasons, and so if we had the exact answer to that right now, we would do it. Just so as I would say, it's a point of emphasis for us. We know we need to start faster. Our guys are aware of it. We talk about it every week, and we just got to keep working.
You mentioned with Taysom and Vele, you don't really know until they're out there. Was there anything that you maybe learned about Tyler or was further confirmed by seeing him out there in a starting situation?
Not really. I think it was what we expected. Like I said, very comfortable with where he was and how he had prepared himself for that moment. And like I said, some really good things. Obviously, there's some things we'll continue to improve on. But like I said, positive performance by him.
Just obviously Trevor being traded, does that kind of signal some confidence in Dylan kind of stepping in and taking over in that role?
We've had a lot of confidence in Dylan, and obviously he played earlier in the season and played well when he played. So I'm excited about him getting his opportunity.
What are some of the challenges that you're looking at up ahead with the Carolina defense?
They're stout up front. Obviously, Brown, he's a really, really good player. And they got Horn, at the boundary corner. They're a great player. They do a good job, They always do a good job in disguising their scheme. They're a drop from the sky team. So, they do a good job, hold and make it look like shell. They drop into single high and their blitz package on third downs it's challenging. So there's a lot of things that we've got to prepare for. Ultimately, it's going to be about us. And we've talked about that. It's about us and our execution.
Penning being traded and Falaga cert, McCoy cert, you're like missing 3 starters on the offensive line. Just wondering what you make of that and what have you kind of seen of the offensive line to, despite the challenges, what do you make of that group?
Well, I'll say this. Obviously, throughout the season and where we're at, we're not satisfied with where we are from a win-loss standpoint. But, strong majority of the game, our guys have competed very, very hard and very well. The scoreboard hasn't gone our way, but it hasn't been for lack of effort. Now, there's been some times where we didn't, play with this type of play style that we want to be known for. But for the most part, our guys have played extremely hard. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's next man up. We're going to go play with our style of play and compete.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.